Let's go to the Sydney Morning Herald now, and obviously Joy, as Cleo found after 18-day ordeal, is leading the paper tomorrow. But there's two little side yarns that I'm really taken my eye. New South Wales Treasurer not so keen to axe stamp duty. New South Wales Treasurer Matt Keane has signalled a shift from Premier Dominic Perrottet's long-held plan to replace stamp duty with an annual land tax. Appearing before his first budget estimates as Treasurer, Mr Keane said axing stamp duty in favour of a land tax could be one option, but there was a range of options he would consider. This, again, I hear this a lot of time. There is no way on God's green earth would Treasurers want to scrap stamp duty at this point in time when the housing market is so hot, right?
Yeah, indeed. And I also worry that, you can say, oh, we'll have a land tax that will provide to be paid annually. But you show me a tax that has ever been implemented and not increased. I honestly can't see a situation where the good people of New South Wales would actually end up paying less. That is my main concern. The worst thing about stamp duty is that it's the biggest impediment to getting into the property market, because it makes up a significant portion of the money you have to stump up as a first home buyer, and you can't borrow that money. You've actually got to pay it in full. I would like less tax everywhere. That's not a secret. And I think that we should look at reducing or abolishing stamp duty for first home buyers. But I'm not sure that necessarily changing from one tax to the other is actually going to deliver a better outcome. Not often I'd say this, but I'm with Matt Keane here. I think we should be looking at all options.
Yeah, or put all options on the table as we strive for COVID recovery, for sure. Another story on the front of the Herald tomorrow: Australia eyes new offshore oil and gas fields. Australia's coastline could soon be opened up to more oil and gas drilling, even as the United Nations declares the world cannot afford to increase fossil fuel production, and 80 nations pledge to cut methane emissions. The federal government is preparing to begin community consultations on potential exploration activities in Western Australia and Victoria. What do you make of this in the midst of Glasgow and the fact that we do not want to sign up to the pledge that will basically see cows farting less?
Oh, we'll all be eating vegetables.
That's what it is. I'm so sorry. Just call it what it is, Prince William. We know what it is.
I know. We'll all be eating vegetables. No meat allowed. We'll all have to go vegan and pray to our Lord and Saviour tofu and all of this kind of business. But I mean, let's be perfectly honest. There are natural resources sitting there that other countries that don't have as much money as Australia can use as cheap, affordable forms of energy. And these are the things that lift people and lift countries out of poverty. China's done it. India has done it and is doing it. There are plenty of other nations around the world. Pakistan. I mean, there are places in the world, Pakistan being one of them, where 50% of the time people do not have power. And the easiest and cheapest way for them to rectify that is with these natural resources. So it's all good and well for us as rich Western countries to say, oh, we'll just leave it all in the ground and, go after net zero.
But
that comes at the expense of other people. It expends at the expense of other people in other parts of the world. If the Greenies want to leave them in poverty and let them starve, well, be that on their head. But for as long as we have resources there that can help them and at the same time we can make a buck out of, we'd be stupid to not be harvesting them.
Yeah, specifically responsible companies that carry it out, of which they are now doing, considering the eyes of the world are definitely on some of the big miners, specifically in Western Australia.